Okay, so I want to go back into like work and life and everything. We really talked about like the subconscious, and like I want to switch back into work life. Like, how do you balance, I say, work and life now that work life balance, so to speak, now that it's all at home? For
Yeah,
me, like my work is here,
yeah.
and it's hard to leave because regular people at the office, they leave work, it stays at work. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Well, I actually, because I work with the subconscious, I know how to trigger myself into doing certain things, and so I wanted to keep my office. Like this office here is the space for me to work, and I knew that going into this lockdown, like all systems were going to be thrown off, and so I kept coming to my office, and I've been coming to my office like this whole time because, well, it's an isolated office, so I'm, still social distance, but coming here, definitely, like, I can focus here, like, if this is the place of work, and it has kept me in the zone and kept me, continuing to create and produce things I need to be working on. And yeah, home. And so home, I've made my dance and yoga studio. So like I've created like this little schedule of, I teach yoga in the morning in my living room, and I come to the office and I work, and I go home and I dance in the living room at night, and so it's like kind of trying to create spaces where I do different things. Because
So
otherwise I'll be lazy. I'll just be at home and like sit around and not do anything.
yeah, I feel you. Like I having a lazy day is something I'm trying to implement at least like once a month or once a week, because like it's so easy to be caught in like trying to get more, to do more, to try to get more, but sometimes like one step back, 10 steps forward kind of stuff. This just came up into my mind when you're working with a lot of clients in terms of hypnotherapy and the healing work. It's therapy, so I'm assuming that you're also taking on a lot of the stuff that they share, like the emotional baggage, so to speak. Like I would assume that feels heavy. I don't know. I might just be making this whole scenario up in my head, but like,
No, I think that a lot of healers do that. I think that a lot of people do that, and I think they haven't worked through their own shit. Like that's why a lot of people are, like taking on things, feeling bad, hearing all these stories. I don't know. I feel in service to people, and I feel really, really happy that I can help someone. And I always feel better after doing sessions, even like the hard ones. People dealt with rape and things, and,
man,
traumas and massive debt, or, things that are really big. The fact that I can go in and support that makes me feel good.
wow, that's badass, man.
I
It is.
also have a dance practice, like after I'm done with all this stuff, I want to go dance. Like I go to the dance studio. Oh, well, I used to.
Yeah, did you go out with us that one time? Like, yeah, it's just nice to go out and just release the energy.
Mm-hmm.
I miss the one of the events I really miss, and it was shut down before Corona happened. Is the floor? What
Yeah.
Miss that? And I don't know if you went out with us whenever we went to the federal.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Like there's just that energy of other people is I miss.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't wait until this is all done. Wear your mask, people. Come on. We can do this. I asked this question a lot to much mature guests, because I interviewed Rosie yesterday, and she's 23, so she can't answer. But like, what would you say to your 16-year-old self?
Oh. Gosh, I mean, I was a different person when I was 16.
Right? I was a punker.
Yeah. I was a fighter. Yeah, what would I say? Just trust yourself. I would say trust yourself, and you know what I would say is, I would say to my younger self who was struggling with what am I going to do with my life, like, trust dance more. I wish I could have really trusted the path of dance and known that it could be my healing mechanism, because I think I could have done a lot more with it, so I think I would tell my younger self about dance.
That's dope. Yeah, that's badass. For anyone who's like curious to do what you're doing, like in becoming a healer, like how would they get started? Because it's not, go to school, become a doctor.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just, now that I'm getting all my social media stuff up, I had just last night put up free 15-minute consultations on my Instagram. So I would say book a consultation and I can talk to you about it.
I will put that in the link description.
Get yourself around people that are doing it. Yeah, I mean, get yourself around people. I'm teaching classes every day. I'm teaching yoga and qigong classes every day of the week. Just get yourself around the people that are doing healings, energy work, hypnotherapy, teaching yoga and trauma healing. I mean, there's so many different modalities out there. And there's a lot of people out there doing the work that are especially in LA. I mean, LA has just so many people in the yoga world doing this work, and there's a whole community around it. There's there's like people that live in the woods that, work regular jobs in LA, and there's people that live by the beach and, are working for tech companies that are super involved in yoga and healing. And so there's a whole world in LA of people that are doing this.
Venice Beach is having its own, it has its own tech area.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah. And those people are interesting. Like, they're in the tech world and the healing world. Doing a lot with the healing arts.
So what do you think are the important characteristics or qualities a person needs to have to do healing?
First things about healing is, the first thing really is that most people come to healing work because they needed to heal themselves. So do the work on yourself. Like, that's the most important thing is if you have the capacity to do healing work on yourself, to sit for a year and meditate, to go to yoga class every day, to get healing sessions from energy healers or shaman or yogis, you have the capacity to work on yourself, then you have the capacity to work on somebody else, So what does it take? It takes you having the patience and ability to sit with yourself and reflect and look at yourself. If you can actually look at yourself and see uncomfortable truths about yourself, well, then you can change them, and then you can sit and be that for somebody else. You have to do the work on yourself.
That reminds me of my favorite Blaise Pascal quote: "All of man's troubles stem from man's inability to sit in a room by himself alone." So I'll put it in the description, but something like that. It's Blaise Pascal. But yeah, I love that because it's people are quick to numb the challenges that they face, or they avoid looking within, which is they just distract themselves with the external. Like the whole famous, like, I'm gonna do this, and and the whole one finger out, four fingers, three fingers, whatever, pointing back. Like, people are quick to blame versus sticking within.
It's uncomfortable, and we have an ego, and the ego protects us from pain. So the ego says, I'm fine. I don't need to work on myself. I don't need to change. I don't need help, right? But it's protecting the vulnerable piece of you that's in grief or sadness or anger or trauma, like there's something is protecting. So the ego is just doing its job, and most people are listening to the ego. Most people are saying, no, I'll be fine. I'm going to deny everything that's happening over here. I'm not going to deal with it. I'm not going to look at it. I'm going to go drink or do this or, explode on my friends or whatever. It's when you have the ability to sit through that and sit with yourself and say, okay, I'm going to look at my pain. I'm going to look at my whatever.
Yeah.
Deal with it. Well, then you have freedom, because it's not that hard once you actually do it. It's just the ego just doesn't want to do it.
It's like the whole "what you resist persists" thing.
Yeah.
Like, that's my tattoo. Like, it says, "Ego is the enemy," because it was like that whole year. It was like I'd say the first month was a lot of it was sitting with a lot of the stuff I lost after jail. Like right after I got out of jail, I was evicted. And that at the same simultaneously, I was allowed to see my kid.
You weren't allowed to?
No.
Oh no!
Because this somehow Child Protective Services got involved, and they convinced my son's mom to put a restraining order on me for a short time. So
wow.
Yeah, and then while we were just trying to figure it out, and the whole situation just got really out of hand. That could have been resolved, but I think it was necessary to. I'd say like there's this whole thing that I reminded myself when I was in my jail cells, like I chose this, I just wasn't aware of it. Like, because I could easily have pointed the finger at, I don't know, my mom, my neighbors, the police, whatever, all this stuff. But like I am there. So I somehow made this decision, and a lot of it was like hints of like I would say episodes of anger, like not like rage, but like when I would be triggered, when I would be short with people, when I would be impatient. It was like the whole, I think Oprah said it, if life comes at you at a whisper at first, then it all comes knocking. Like when I feel like the universe was trying to teach me before, but it's like, all right, you're not listening. So it's like, this is, I didn't want to have to do this, but you're going to have to learn the hard way. So in a sense was like, one of the shittiest moments I experienced was one of the greatest gifts I got. So
well, also you probably didn't numb yourself out to that moment. You probably faced it.
Yeah.
So you got the lesson. You got to move forward from it rather than letting it life.
Yeah, it was rough. Like then just meditating in my jail cell helped. I started there.
Good.
It was like, cause like, I'm just there by myself in my jail cell, and I'm like, I have nothing to do. There's a Bible. I can work out. I can meditate. I can read. So I needed to like control my running thoughts somehow. So meditation has always been a tool. So I really needed it then and there. And then I needed to feel like I can get out of it. Like, so we started reading the Bible. I'm not a religious guy, but it was nice to have something to give me hope that I can become better. So, yeah. I mean, a lot of the stuff, in my opinion, is really like, I'm going to touch on something that you mentioned earlier, but a lot of it is the self-work or even self-mastery. Like, I think one of my favorite quotes, and it comes from like different people. I think they said it in The Art of War. I know it's in the Bible. It's like self-mastery or self-control is much more powerful than controlling 1,000 armies, an army of 1,000 or whatever, like that. Because, if you can control your emotions in any storm, if you can control yourself, like, and when I say controlling your emotions, that doesn't mean like pushing it aside, which is a common, I think, misconception from people. So yeah,
it is the hardest thing, when you can actually really deal with yourself and sit still and sit in your shit and face it and then deal with it and move forward in love and openness and connection to the world. That makes you a stronger person, but a lot of people will go to war over their traumas, I think that Hitler is a great example of that. He had a lot of trauma from childhood. He had a lot of stuff, and if you read any stories about him, you'll read about things that he went through when he was younger, along with like heartbreak, and they just really shaped him, and he never dealt with his stuff, and so he's very powerful in his ego, Right.
Yeah, one thing I love that you said earlier was like, a lot of people try to get their power from the ego, but I think a lot of the power really is in the vulnerability. It's because it's probably one of the most scariest things to do, but the most releasing and most powerful thing. It's almost like freestyling in a cipher in a sense. Yeah. It's like it's scary because all eyes are on you watching, but when you do it, it's such a release. And same.
I would compare that definitely to like freestyle dancing versus choreography. Like there's a little bit more ego in the choreography thing, I think, because it's like, how can I achieve this goal and, you know, and match what's going on in front of me, because there's some ego projection of I want to look like that, versus choreographers, you know, the choreographer themselves may be in their actual vulnerability and artistry, but like for sure a freestyler is, like a freestyle dancer is in their artistry and their vulnerability in their creation, you know, and that takes a lot more courage.
Yeah, because it's like,
yeah, than to repeat something and try and make yourself look good, you know, in a choreography. Not to like say anything bad about, I mean, like, I'm not the best choreography dancer in the world, you know, but I just think that freestyle space is a really vulnerable space of creation where stuff will come out of you, you know, and you let it, then it's actually doing.
Yeah, I can agree in that. Like when I've freestyled and I let go in a sense, like, and it takes a couple rounds for, like, I'd say like the judging mind to just let go. Even then it's hard. I feel like it's very elusive, but I start doing movements and moves that I normally wouldn't do when I just let go, which is very different. And when choreography, there's structure and you can feel freedom in a sense where you feel confident and you fully understand the choreography, that you're not thinking about it so much. But it's very different when you have total freedom and control of your movement, and you're just, I'd say, speaking from the soul through your dance.
Yeah.
So, and both I think are great. Like the way I view with it is like, you know, choreography would be like a structured day and a freestyle would be a relaxed day. Like one of my favorite quotes from the Groovaloos is like, sometimes life can't be choreographed, sometimes you gotta freestyle.